the XER file, or somebody could have sent you the Microsoft Project XML file for you to analyze yourself. So I'll try to make it as sort of as flexible as possible in use. And as Tekin said, it is version 1, and you know there's lots of XER files out there, so we do come across the odd XER file that has something different in it. So with any software, you have to bear with us whilst we get to version 2. So if there's no questions, I'm just going to show you probably the simplest way of importing data, then go through the functionality, and then look at the exporting via the other methods. So the first one I'm going to do, and the quickest one, is an XER import. So in the install folder, there's a set of XER files. So if I just find those, so there's ASTA Power Project sample projects, Microsoft Project sample projects, and in this case I'm going to use the Primavera P6 sample projects. So there are 3 XER files. One is the project and the baselines, and there's also a backup of the database to use if you want to demonstrate the SDK. So I'm going to use XER, and I've already selected my 3 files. So there's a project, and there's up to 2 baselines. You don't have to have both baselines, but in this case I'm doing baseline 1 is my early dates and baseline 2 is my late date. So obviously in Primavera I would have to detach my baselines once from the project, so they became in the enterprise view. So I would have to do my 3 XER exports from there. So that's a one-off gig, and then back in the project, you know more about this than I do, you can reattach the baselines to the project, but it has to be 3 separate XER files. So I've selected the project, the 2 baselines. I've given the baselines a more attractive name, if you like. This option here, smooth through working time. Basically, when I process the XER files or the ASTA files or the Microsoft Project files as closely as possible, I try to work out when, according to the calendars and the weekends, when work is actually happening to get a more accurate curve. But if you were to smooth it through working time, it would average the work or the cost or the duration over the course of the elapsed duration of the task to give a smoother curve. So if I just do that and click on import, you see it immediately processes it and brings it in. So we have here some actual, a date-to-date, and some remaining. So that's read the Primavera file and brought that data in. So it's all fairly straightforward. I can save that information. That saves an XML file, which could be sent to somebody else who uses Project Tracker. So in itself, that's a fairly straightforward operation. There's some fairly clever work goes on in calculating the curve, in that if there is, it's unlikely to happen in Primavera, but can happen in Microsoft Project and ASTA, that there could be uncompleted work prior to the data date because the user hasn't rescheduled or recalculated the project. So what I do there, I calculate the amount of uncompleted work that's been done and spread it over the remaining period to make sure that we have the curve meets at the correct point, which is what you can't do that in Excel. So we have, if we have a quick look around the screen, we have a scope tab here, which I'll introduce you to in a second. We have details of the activities at the bottom. So these expanders, I've tried to keep it as simple as possible with no need to go into dialog boxes, if you like. And over here, I can move this stupid thing. That's it. We have the data that makes up the graph. So there's 3 expanders that surround Project Tracker that we can use. I'll just go to help quickly. There's a help and there's a license, and I've made it very easy to change languages. I don't know how long the Turkish people took to translate Project Tracker, but I think there's about 400 sentences to do, so it's very easy to flick between languages. So now this is in Turkish just by selecting the box there. So once we've got several languages created, it's quite nice to localize the product. If I go to probably go to the S-curves tab here. So this is where we configure what curves we're showing and how they look. So we can, obviously all this is updating and interactive at the same time. So you just save that as you wish. So I've got the target line, the actual line. So I might want to introduce the baseline 1 line, which was the as soon as possible line. So let's give that a better colour that you might be able to see. So that's our baseline 1 line, and you can see we're tracking at the moment just behind that. So we are sort of behind progress, and the scope has increased somewhat. And we can open a baseline 2 line, which was our as late as possible curve, and you can see that we're tracking ahead of that. So although there's some more work being introduced, more duration being introduced into the project, so at the moment we are not too bad. We're within the envelope, if you like, between the as soon as possible tasks and the as late as possible tasks. So I also create a forecast line, which is fairly unique, I think, and couldn't be done in Excel, which basically takes the current progress, the current rate of work, and applies that to the remaining work to give us a likely finish date. So you can see that if we were to carry on at the same rate, we would finish some 3 months later than planned. So that's quite useful. And what it does, if I take the profile of the uncompleted work and try and retain that profile to create the forecast line. So that's a useful addition in terms of data. And we've also got a recovery line. So by default that tracks the target line, but it could be that I want to demonstrate to the client or that I'm actually going to finish ahead of schedule. So going to the settings tab, I can set a recovery finish date. So let's say we had to finish at the end of March. What it will do, it will plot that line finishing at the end of March, but again retaining the profile of the target curve. So that's again a sort of a good way of looking at, you know, at what point do we need to be at what date. So you know, this is, we need to follow this line for our recovery position. I think T-loss does that sort of thing. So if I just remove that, so they're the types of curve that we've got: the target, the actual, the 2 baselines, the forecast and the recovery, and obviously the day-to-date, which we can turn on or off. So that in itself is importing the data and creating the S-curves, and in a lot of countries this is what people thrive on and look for. If we go to the settings tab now, the key things along here I'll just take you through. So by default this S-curve is on duration, and that's something that you can't do in each of the products. You can't generate an S-curve from duration. You would have to add a dummy resource on, which can create its complications. So I'm taking the number of days in each task and calculating an S-curve from that. So there's no setup on the user's behalf to create S-curves anymore. but I can, so I import the cost, and I can create resource and cost curves as well. So that's important. I've imported that information as well if people want that sort of data. This is a nice feature, which is to add the dynamic status as we go. So if I do that in conjunction with the activity details, as I move my mouse along the chart, it's telling me, so on the 21st of April, I'd done 22% of the work, but I was 12 days behind. I had done 227 days of work, but I should have done 245 of those. And if I move my curve up here, you know, I can sort of see at the end of August, for example, I should be 40% of the way through the work. And if that was changed to cost, say on the 18th of August, I should have spent £170,000 of that work, but the plan would have been for 206,000. So at the current rate, I would be behind spend. So this information is all very, very useful. And you can see as I move along the curve, I'm seeing the tasks that are occurring at that position because I'm importing the activities as well, and it's giving me the planned costs, the planned starts, the planned work, etc. So these are very interesting and useful pieces of information that I couldn't get if I was exporting to Excel. So it's good analytical information. So I'll just turn that off. So we have the recovery date. Additionally to the curves, I do create, let's turn that to months, period graphs. So this is sort of quite very useful, in fact. So we can actually see where the variances from the baseline have occurred. So again, without adding a resource, so if we do a duration one without adding a resource, we can see some very useful information, you know, where we, for example, so the target is the orange and the blue or the purple is the baseline. So we can see, you know, we had a bad month in April, for example, where we were behind program. And again, we're planning to not do as much work in July, but potentially in January, we're asking ourselves to do too much. And April, according to the plan at the moment, we're asking ourselves to do too much, and realistically, is that possible? And that can be spread between weeks or months. And I find that a useful graph. You know, for example, in here, am I going to have enough labour to do this amount of work in this period? Because this is what I need to do to catch up the work. So again, as well as the curves, we've got the period graphs as well, and obviously the colours of that are all configurable. All the date zones are can be worked out. So for example, the x-axis, I can have the dates at the top, I can have no dates just at the bottom. So it's all configurable, and on the y-axis again, left, right, no axis, right. So all configurable. And the comparison baseline, so here all the data is being compared against the as soon as possible baseline, but if I wanted to compare against the second baseline, you can see those values changing. So we've gone from behind schedule obviously to ahead of schedule because we're ahead of the as late as possible curve, which we'd hope to be, otherwise we'll be in trouble. So we've got a lot of functionality in here, a lot of nice reports, a lot of good views. And probably one of the nicest features is the ability to display the Gantt chart behind the program as well, because I'm bringing in all the task information. And obviously that does then allow us to add lots of functionality in future, because I'm importing all of the task information, irrespective of whether it's Primavera, ASTA, or whatever. So if I display the Gantt chart here, you can see that I brought in my chart, and I can scroll through or page down and see the activities. So again, this is useful to see you know, around this period here we have a problem, we have the active, which ones are happening at that particular period. And as far as I know, there's nothing really that can do this. No other piece of software can do this. So if we move our mouse over a task, it gives us information about that activity, so how much it's slipped. So that this is, I can unshade those completed activities if I wish. And on the left-hand side, we have red, amber, green traffic light warnings, so they can be turned off or can be turned on. And if I flick again, I get the more information about what's happening. And obviously, this is a really dark data, it's against baseline 2. So if I change to baseline 1, they're all behind program, which is more sensible. And again, I can change the colours of these if I so wish. And it should also change how well coloured they are. And we have a legend over here, as well as looking at the tasks. When we move the cursor over it, we can select from, so if we wanted to say what's going on the 25th of February, for example, by clicking on any of those dates, that loads the tasks up that are happening on that particular date, and I can quickly go and look and find out the information about those activities. So key benefits are we're importing from lots of different software without the need to do much setup work in that program, and once we've got all the information, we've got lots and lots of analytical information that we can play with. So I'll just turn off that. There's a text-based progress report, and Tekin was mentioning that this is configurable, and this is sort of where we can you know, extend the offering to users. So this is basically taking the data from the curves and producing text-based information. So tells us if we're behind, you know, the project has slipped, how much it's grown, how much it's slipped, 4.83% or 28 days. Tells us we're 22.72% complete. So lots of information, and we can, you know, the user can, if they so wish, change this information. If they want to manipulate the data, then that report could be saved, printed, sent out to whoever. So that's the text-based version of this chart. So again, something I'm very proud of is the ability to filter. So this is brought in, the scope is the WBS, so that's brought in the WBS from Primavera. So I'm able to do separate curves based on different parts of the program. So this procurement is complete. So we're able to do very accurate curves on each WBS item. And obviously, you know, if it was in Excel, that's just not going to be possible at all. Similarly, the activity codes. So there's only trade contractor here, but I could create a roofer curve or a carpenter curve or a plumber curve. So if I'm going to a meeting with that particular subcontractor, I can take that report or send that report to them to see how they're getting on. Obviously, these trades haven't started yet. So again, that's a very powerful way of looking at, and obviously if that was in conjunction with the Gantt chart, you'd see the activities that they're working on at the same time. Now once we've got these views, actually let's just go back to here. We can add text onto the chart. So if we wanted to give some more information, we can add text on. So we could say delay caused by delivery. And obviously play around with its colours and whatever we want to do. rotate it. So we can add text on to give more information out to the user as well. Now, if we're creating, so let's say we've got a big project and we are creating lots of these curves. So we wanted to do each week. We wanted to print out a curve for the roofer, the carpenter, the plumber, etc. I can go to the roof. What I can do is once I'm in the roofer, I can save this as a view, and I can call this the roof curve, and I can set it to batch print, and then I'll go to carpenter and save that as carpenter. So once I've done that, I have a list of my views, and they're set to batch print. So the beauty of this is, instead of doing a normal print, which I'll show you in a second, I could click batch print, and what it will do, it will just go through all of those charts and print them out according to the default settings. So if ever in Primavera or ASTA you wish there was a batch print where you could print from all your filters, I realised that was an issue, so I've created this batch print option that will let us export all those items. So that's a really good productivity feature, if you like. So that's fundamentally the functionality of Project Tracker. If I just go to printing, there's version control in there, so I could set version 1, Andrew Willard. I could put a logo in. Find one. And then I can preview it. And it all previews, all fits on the screen nicely. Report, the annotation goes in the right position. So if I was to put the Gantt chart on again and preview that. So there you go, I've got an S-curve and a Gantt chart, an annotation, and everything you could ever want from an S-curve. So a beautiful report to give to the client. So this is sort of everything that you can do from within Project Tracker. So what I'll do now, I'll just show you the other types of imports, which are a little bit slower than the XER file, assuming nobody's got any questions. So if we start with Power Project first of all, because obviously that's my first love, if you like. So I've got the same project which I created in ASTA, and there's again, there's a couple of baselines in here. One is going to be the as soon as possible, and one is the late as possible. So in Project Tracker, so to do an XER import, all you need is the XER files. To do a Power Project import, you need to have Power Project open on that machine. So if I click on that, it reads the current project and knows I want an as soon as possible and as late as possible curve. Click OK, and now this will go away and read the project. Because I'm going to using ASTA's API OCX, if you like, it's a fraction slower, but the data comes in. Okay, so just wait a second for that to happen. Okay, so same data, same curve, same result. So that's come direct from ASTA. In ASTA, it looks like there was a few more codes in there, but the same scope because it's the same project, and it works in exactly the same way. Microsoft project, same project. Saved a couple of baselines. So we'll import Microsoft project again. That has to be open. So we're going to go for baseline and baseline 1. Import. Microsoft project's the slowest one because it's the worst product. Has anybody got any questions while that's importing? No. So that's the import from Microsoft Project. Again, same data, same result. Again, codes, WBS. And then we've got project XML. So from this, I've saved an XML file from Microsoft Project. So I just need to find that. Again, separate baselines. So the Microsoft XML is quicker than going direct to the, but again imported, same results. So you can see that we can import the data from all of these items. And the final one, which I haven't shown actually, is the Primavera SDK. The SDK is, with Primavera 8.3, is sort of unsupported by Oracle and a little bit unreliable, but it does seem to bring in the data. So, so I have my database, obviously. I click on that. I have to log into the SDK. So hopefully that will find it, yeah. So I've only got one project in here. Select my baselines. Very quick. There's my data. And then that crashes Project Tracker, unfortunately. So the SDK is quite with Windows 8 and Primavera 8.3 is a little bit dodgy, to say the least, but with 8.2 it's fine. So it's the recommended way is with an XER file with Primavera. So has anybody got any questions? Tekken? Hello?
Andrea,
Hello?
question.
Okay. Hello? Tech in.
Andrew?
Oh, there is somebody there.
You know, VJ would like to ask questions so that I am unmuting his microphone and he can say, VJ, please make your comments.
Hi Andrew, this is Vijay here from Crown Singapore.
Hi, Vijay. Hi.
How are you doing? Hey,
I'm good,
just a
and
quick
you?
question. I would like to check if there's a possibility for P6 to be able to select directly the baselines from the P6 instead of detaching and creating that as an XCR.
No, the XCR file doesn't contain baselines.
But how about directly accessing from P6 database?
Well, that's using the SDK.
So if I use SDK, I can directly access
Yes. Yeah.
the
So you
baseline.
don't need.
So I don't need to restore, right?
No, you don't need to restore. No. No.
Okay. Then the second question is, and the second question is, for example, if I use SDK, can I actually select the same project for both as late as possible and as soon as possible?
In the SDK, you've set your. I'm not very good at Primavera. You set the baselines here. So I will import the first baseline as whatever the project baseline is, and the second baseline as whatever the primary baseline is. So I've got as soon as possible and as late as possible. So you could set them both. So I would then import both baselines the same.
Okay, so I can directly use the SDK to access the baseline and generate, right? I don't
Exactly,
need to I don't need to restore the baseline and then
not with the SDK. No.
Okay.
No. That operates as but there's a limitation of XCR files that they can't contain. That the baseline data doesn't get exported. So I have to read it as a separate file.
Okay. So for SDK no issue, but if you do it as an XCR, definitely has to be a separate file.
You have to have separate files for the XCR files, but the SDK you don't.
Okay, that's good.
Is it okay, VJ? Any other question,
Yes,
or
sir.
another person we move?
Yeah, we can move to the other person.
Okay.
Thanks, Vijay.
Thanks, Andrew.
And we have a question from Alexander from Russia, and I will unmute his microphone. Alexander, if you want to speak and ask directly, you can speak now. You are unmute, but you need to yourself also unmute, or I can read your question. Okay, I think that Alexander is unmute. Let me. Alexander from PMSoft is asking, what version of P6 do you support?
Anything up to 8.3.
Like 8.2, 8.1, 8.0, yes?
Yeah. I mean, the only issue really we're having, Tekin, is that, and Alexander, is that XCR files seem quite inconsistent in what goes in them. So I'm sort of having to cope with special cases in XCR files, but I've had XCR files from lots of different versions, and the SDK is the SDK. So I'm pretty confident it works all the way up to 8.3. Although Primavera Oracle have stopped supporting the SDK in 8.3, and there are issues reported by people who have used the SDK forever. So there is probably a need eventually to go to the for me to go to the web services or the new Primavera API. But the trouble with both of those is that they do require a fair bit of setup by the user. So I've tried to keep it so that a standalone planner can produce S-curves and doesn't have to have web services installed and all sorts of stuff like that, but we might have to go to that eventually. But try it in all versions of P6, definitely.
Okay. Another question from Alexander from PMSoft. What about the supporting multi-language interface? Is there possibilities for Russian character and Russian interface?
Yeah, well, it works with Russian.
Okay, I think that we have experience with Turkish version. Am I right? And
yeah, well, no, I did write to you over Christmas and told you that I'd fixed the problem with Russian language.
Okay. I just want to also, Happing is asking, is there possibilities that it is supporting Chinese language?
Yeah.
It means that Chinese, Russian, any interface is supported by Project Tracker?
Anything.
Okay.
Anything.
And I just want to also give you one information. Our Turkish partner, Prone, project from Turkey, they make the Turkish version of Project Tracker in 1 day. This is 1 man day work. We send the Excel file, you fulfill the file and send it back. After 1 day, you have your own language for interface. Anybody interested to translate it, we can speak with them and help. But of course, it has to be very good quality so that, I mean, this is the subject about doing 1 day, but it has to be done by somebody who knows project management. And that's why it is a 1 day. And Alexander wants to do in Russian. Okay, we will send you today, Alexander, for the Russian file. And you can just start it. Happing, if you are interested, we can send you also Chinese, or I can do it. You know, Justin, and you know that I speak Chinese and I can do it. But if you want, I can help you and you can do it, Happing. Another questions? Okay, at the moment, Andrew, do you have anything else that we can continue?
No,
or
I mean, you know, from my point of view, Tekin, I'd just, you know, like to sort of tell your resellers that if they don't know, you know, there is a lot of interest in this product from the countries that we're dealing with direct, like America and the UK and Australia. We're getting sort of, we've only been sort of putting stuff on LinkedIn for about, well, I suppose it must be 10 days now. And, you know, we're getting sort of 10 leads a day. We're getting a lot of leads in from people and a lot of interest, and we're doing a lot of quotes. So the aim really is that this is a low-cost product that people can justify buying because you know, the time that they take to do a normal export of an S-curve to Excel, or, you know, would be, they would get that money back straight away. So we're sort of hoping that, you know, you've got lots and lots of Primavera users that they'll be very interested in this, and it's going to be a nice and easy sell for us, for everybody, to be quite honest. But the interest we're getting in, you know, from America is quite amazing at the moment. So we're hoping that you can replicate that in your countries. And I'd love to be able to come and visit you all sometime this year, you know, to help you out at exhibitions and talking and stuff like that. So hopefully once we start selling some, you know, we can do that. But hopefully you all know me and you can trust me, and we can all work together.
Yeah, there are some questions, Andrew. Actually, end of the presentation, I will also give the quick success roadmap, what to do. Yasin from Turkey would like to ask some questions. Yasin, please speak, or I will read your questions. Yasin, do you want me to read it or you want to speak? Okay, Yasin is asking, is Project Tracker working with Telos and Synchro? May I answer, Andrew?
You can, yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, Project Tracker is not working with Telos and Synchro, but this is not a big issue if there are very interesting big customer and it is worth to invest it. We can do that, but at the moment, there is no direct import or access to Telos file and also Synchro. But considering both Telos and Synchro is integrated with ASTA, integrated with Primavera, integrated with Microsoft project, so that there is an indirect relations and indirect way you can get the S-curve. But at the moment, it's not working. Yasin is asking another question, which is on the right pane of the separate sheet. Is there any possibilities to see the cost data? Can we see the cost on the right side?
Yeah, hang on a minute. I shouldn't have... So if I change that to cost, that's now the cost of the project. They're the costs. Okay. So this data will show whatever resource hours or duration or cost. Yeah. Is that all right? Check in. What?
Okay. Do you have, guys, any question? Because Adam from Poland asked question. Adam is asking, can I compare two projects from P6 or only project and it is baseline?
Only project and its baseline.
Okay. And Alexander from Russia, it is asking about what is the usual schema of selling this product? What is the process and what is how you are selling this product? Do you sell it as a separated product or this is a ASTA plus P6 plus Microsoft plus plugins? May I answer it?
Well, let me answer it first of all. We're selling it as a standalone product to start with, but I suspect you may sell it differently. So you say what you think.
Okay. I mean, the product without ASTA, Microsoft, and P6, this is not meaning too much, yes, but
well, if you're a client tech-in and you haven't got those products.
Sorry?
You may be a client and you might not have those products, so you might be a government agency.
Yes, I mean,
yeah.
This is a product which is definitely focused on the interest of the Primavera, ASTA, and Microsoft. I mean, you don't have this product, but you can receive those kind of files and you need to open it. The point is, all the Microsoft users, Primavera users, and ASTA Power Project users are a potential customer of ASTA Power, for the project tracker, and also who are working with this schedule, which is that they are receiving the schedule and need to open and make the analysis of this, so that they should be not a user of Primavera, they should be not a user of Microsoft, but these are the people for controlling the schedule, so that these are the people who can receive the file and open it and read the data and get the S-curve. How to sell it? There are many ways. First of all, what I suggest my partners to do that. First, number one, please update your web page and put information in your web about the project tracker. Please speak your sales and the marketing department and ask them to put information about project tracker in your web page. I would advise start with existing Primavera, Microsoft and ASTA users, which is that you know them, and make the list of the emails and start with the introduction emails that you have a new product. This product is Project Tracker. It will allow you to have a very nice and very powerful S-curve, so that you need to start with the existing customer who already using Primavera, Microsoft Project and ASTA Power Project. We also advise you promote our monthly Project Tracker user webinar to your existing and potential customer. We aim to have once a month minimum to Project Tracker user webinar. We will send you the link just to promote it all your potential customers, and then they will follow up. Very important point, and majority of you are also experienced with Primavera, some of them with Microsoft, and many of them, almost all of them with ASTA Power Project. Find a Primavera guru, Microsoft Project guru in your territory who are very well recognized with Primavera and having a voice that giving a comment and recommend. That's why you can make them a webinar one-to-one, or you can just send information. Those people can help you to promote this product, who are the major user, known user, and very fan of the Primavera, fan of the Microsoft. Make them friends. Give us feedback. This is very important. You know your industry, you know your customer, and talk to them, and please provide us what you want to see in the next version, what your customer would like to see in the next version. Learn the product. It is very easy to learn and present yourself. Even salespeople can do that. You don't need to have very big technical background. The system is very simple because you just open and you just get the report. It is important that you learn the product and make your own language presentation. What I suggest, try to sell Project Tracker directly. That when you have list of the potential customer, try to contact and make an offer to them, propose them. But one of the method, if your company receive any request for offer for Primavera, add the Project Tracker in even one single Primavera license as an optional. Even the customer doesn't know about it, even the customer not ask about it. End of your offer, ask optional proposed product for Primavera Project Tracker for the ASCO reporting. They will ask you, what is this about? Then you will explain, because generally when the people are buying Primavera or Microsoft, this is the best moment to sell Project Tracker. But you don't have to just to sell only new customer, because if your customer already bought you, already you know they are using, you can sell Project Tracker. And during the project management seminars, events, add as some 15-20 minutes at least some presentation and session about the Project Tracker and present the people. Next week we are having a Qatar project management event for ASTA Power Project, Telos, and the Project Tracker. We will be also making demo of Project Tracker. These are the some hints which I would like to say. Andrew, do you want to add something?
No, that's fine, check it.
Okay. Benjamin from Singapore is asking, unsure if this is covered, but how it is critical path different from that of Microsoft and Primavera, and why it is better. Benjamin is asking from Singapore. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, Benjamin, the Project Tracker goal is not displaying a critical path. We just get the prepared file in Primavera or Microsoft in ASTA Power Project to get some report which is not possible inside of those systems. So that critical path is not a subject in our, let's say, project tracker. It will be the same what you have in Primavera or you have in ASTA Power Project. Am I right, Andrew?
Sorry, say that again, Tekin.
I mean,
Didn't hear it.
Question is, Benjamin from Singapore is asking, how is critical path different from that of Microsoft and Primavera, and why it is better? And I explained that the critical path, how it is in Microsoft, we bring it here. Our aim is not analyzing of the critical path. Am I right?
No, it's not to do that, no. No, it's to show graphically, you know, how you're doing against program, and, you know, to bring the Gantt chart in. But basically the Gantt chart is, you know, just a viewing tool of the task. There's no concept of the critical path.
Okay. Łukasz from Poland is asking, is there a trial version?
Yeah. Yeah, you just download the trial version.
Yeah, we have a trial version, Łukasz. We can give it trial version. And there are questions. Questions about is there a concurrent license?
No.
No. There is no concurrent license, but if you have a big customer, they would like to have big number of the license, please contact with us. We can make a good proposal. I mean, but at the moment there will be only single user license. There is questions. Yeah. How often you are planning to have new version? When is estimated time for version 2? And do you have a roadmap?
I need to start. We need to sell version 1 before there's version 2. And the roadmap is going to come from your users, basically. I think the main thing on the roadmap is to enhance the reporting. I guess that's what we both agree, isn't it, Tekin? To enhance the reporting.
Okay.
But there's no plans for a version 2 yet, because we've got to get version 1 selling and, you know, completely okay with Primavera.
Okay, another question, actually that you were mentioning this, to be user of project tracker, user need to have installation of Primavera in their computer or not?
If they want to import from the SDK, yes, but not if not for an XER, no.
It means that I have no installation of Primavera. My contractor sent me email XCR file. I can open XCR file in Project Tracker without installation of Primavera. Am I right?
Yeah, you don't need to have Primavera, no.
It means that not only Primavera user, but also people who is receiving the report are potential customer.
Yeah.
You can sell 1 Primavera license, but 10 Project Tracker to your customer.
Yeah.
You will be happy, yes, Andrew?
I'm very happy, Tekin, yes.
Okay, Adam is asking from Poland, what are the limitations of the trial version?
I can't. It's in the help file. It's you can't export from Project Tracker. It puts trial version over the S-curve report, and some of the printing functionality is removed. But you can import as many activities as you want, and it will display a full S-curve, all of the S-curves, all of the Gantt chart, all of the analytical data. But
then you cannot print out, yes?
You can print out, but the printout has some scrambled words in it, so it means nothing basically.
Okay, but probably we will work on it in the future, some idea for the trial. Maybe we can limit the activities, maybe we can limit the time, but at the moment it is working like that.
Yeah. It's the functionality of the product is more important than what's in the trial, I think. But yeah.
Any questions?
Well, then they can send them afterwards, Tekin, yeah? That's a good idea. If, please send them to us.
Yeah. If you have any individual questions, if you would like to have individual webinars, please contact with us always. At the moment, if you don't have question, we can finish the today's sessions.